Test 1 2. Test 1 2. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to an episode of the Preston Sports Podcast. It's been a minute. It's been maybe 2-3 weeks. I got COVID and I felt like crap, and I didn't feel like recording any podcasts. Not a lot was happening in the sports world as far as anything interesting, really. Since then, preseason has started, though. A lot has quite a few things have happened in the sports world. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do, because I think there's a lot more interesting stuff than 3 videos a week. I might kind of get a little bit looser on a schedule, but just try to stay true to the Monday, Wednesday, Friday as the season goes on. I don't know exactly how true to the schedule I'm going to be until the actual season starts, because we still have another 2 weeks. But in case you're not already subscribed, make sure you do that. Like the video. To do that thing, to the notification bell. And today, Preston, are we going to talk about the Jamal Adams extension? No, we're not going to talk about that. I'll talk about that later. Maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I do want to talk about it. I literally didn't remember it until I started recording the podcast and said there's nothing going on in the sports world. But, we move. I've already have something prepped for today. And we are talking about my top 6 quarterback battles. As you know, we're in training camp. Now, most teams really should know who their starting quarterback is. And there's one here where they're like, yeah, we know our starter, but it's like, do you? I have 6 quarterback competitions in the league right now. We're going to start with number 1, my most interesting competition. Or I'm actually not going to do this in order most interesting, because I have a hard time deciding. But there's 6 teams that really have a competition. One of the more interesting ones is the Jags. You can hear the car. I'm in the closet. If you don't know, I record this in my closet, and I heard the car. Maybe I need to turn my gain down a little bit. Oh, I'm turning it up. There we go. Does that sound good? I think it sounds fine. Anyways, the Jags. They took Gardner Minshew in like the 5th or 6th or 7th round. He's entering year 3 now, so in the 2019 draft they took him. And then obviously they took Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall this year. And so you think, man, you take Trevor Lawrence number 1, you're probably going to start him. But maybe that's not the best thing for them to do. Gardner Minshew has been caught saying he hasn't gone number 2, or he hasn't pooped in weeks, because there's no such thing as number 2 to him. He does not want to be a backup. He wants to start, and he's competing like he does. I think I think you should probably start Trevor Lawrence. But you don't really, I don't think it stunts Trevor's development at all. And Urban Meyer, interestingly enough, has been very adamant on not knowing who his starting quarterback is. Now, it's past week 2 of the preseason. I think the Jags actually played tonight along with another team on the list. But he's saying, like, we have a QB competition and we're going to see who the starter is. I would expect you're probably going to see Gardner Minshew start the season and then see Trevor come in later in the season, I would say. I just thought of another team. 1 second. This is going to be my top 7 QB battles. Sorry. Okay, so I'm really interested to see what happens, because obviously you have the NFL experience that Gardner Minshew has, but you also have the unreal potential and talent that Trevor Lawrence has. And I'm very interested to see where Urban Meyer goes with this. Also on the list, the team they're playing tonight is the New Orleans Saints. I think Jameis Winston should win this battle. And that's no disrespect to Taysom Hill. I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback. He played okay last year whenever Drew Brees was hurt, and he was the backup. But I think you get the most out of Taysom Hill whenever you're not what's the word? You're not confining him to one position. He's the guy who plays tight end and wide receiver and running back and special teams, and he'll play defense, he'll play punt block, he'll play field goal block. You want to use him in as many places as you can while Jameis Winston is the quarterback. And that doesn't mean you can't run him at quarterback at some plays just to really confuse the defense. But that is just what Taysom Hill brings confusion to the defense. Because you can put him on the line, not the offensive line, on the line of scrimmage, and then people will be confused. You don't know if that's a tight end. So do you put a linebacker on him? Do you put a corner on him? If you put a corner on him, that means there's probably a linebacker on someone else, and that creates a mismatch. And he has the speed on special teams. I don't think, and plus, something that's really surprising to me, and I imagine to a lot of people, is his age. Taysom Hill is 31 years old. So, at this point, are they ready to commit to Taysom Hill long term? Because if you really think that Taysom is the guy, you're probably going to want him for more than just a couple years. But I don't know if he has more than a couple years left. That's just something interesting. Like, Taysom Hill really wasn't known until a couple years ago. But he's been in the league for a while. He's 31 years old. And I think Jameis Winston's going to win the battle. I like what I've seen from Jameis Winston out of training camp in the preseason. I like what I saw from him last year on the Saints in the limited amount of opportunities he had. He made them count. Obviously, a guy with a big arm, former number 1 overall pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led the league in passing yards in 2019, also led the league in interceptions through 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. One thing that is important to note is Jameis Winston, he got LASIK. He literally couldn't see. He just used his arm strength and threw the ball downfield. It was like Mike Evans is really tall. I mean, he's probably going to come down with it maybe. And I mean, half the time he was right, half the time he was wrong. Plus he was under Sean Payton and Drew Brees, learning a lot, learning the offense. This is year 2 for him in the New Orleans offense. He has Alvin Kamara, he has Michael Thomas, he has other players. I mean, the Saints are kind of lacking as far as weapons go. They have Traquan Smith and I forget what Harris's first name is, but he's kind of more of a return guy anyway. But he has Taysom Hill as a weapon. I think that the Saints, I think Sean Payton would be wise to give Jameis Winston that starting role over Taysom Hill. Another team, we'll go with another team that drafted a quarterback, the Pats. You have Cam Newton for another year, but you also drafted Mac Jones with, I believe, the 15th overall pick. I would start Cam personally. I don't know if that is what Bill's going to do, but I would start Cam. You have the offense. I wouldn't say it's even built around Cam's strength, but there's no, Bill will, like he did with Tom, he'll let him sit. Now, obviously, Tom was, I think, pick 199, and Mac Jones was pick 15. But I don't think there's anything wrong with letting him sit for a little bit and letting him learn the offense. With an offense as detail-oriented as the Patriots' offense is, I think it would be good for him to kind of sit back and watch Cam start, even if it's just for a couple weeks, just to kind of learn the ropes. I think it should be for half the season, maybe the entire season. But if you're really thinking of Mac Jones as kind of that next Tom Brady, stay in the pocket, check the ball down, take the deep shot when it's there, then you're definitely going to want him to sit at least a little bit and kind of learn. Plus the Patriots, I don't want to say they have a roster built to win now, but I'm not exactly positive. I am. Stephon Gilmore in his 30s. Devin who's still on the team? Devin McCourty in his 30s. That defense is kind of up there in age, so they are kind of in a win-now mode. So I think Cam gives you the best chance to win, and until proven otherwise, I think he should start. Now, Mac Jones coming from Alabama. Bill and Nick have that relationship. Nick Saban, that is. Maybe Nick Saban was just telling him the Patriots playbook. That's what they were running all year at Alabama, so he just knows the offense already. But I think at least for a couple weeks, Cam should start, win the QB battle, and then you can start to transition Mac Jones into the starting role. We'll go with the second to last of drafted quarterbacks. We'll go to the 49ers, actually. Traded up to number 3. Everyone was like, are they going to take Mac Jones? I never thought they were going to take Mac Jones. You're going to take Trey Lance. Trey Lance is one of the biggest boom or bust prospects there was in this draft. And based off of two preseason games, I'm going to pick boom. I really like what I've seen out of Trey Lance. You put him in that Kyle Shanahan offense where, it's run the ball, run outside, use speed, get outside, zone run schemes, and then you take that play action, run the play action bootleg similar to the Browns offense. Kevin Stefanski comes from that coaching tree. And I think it's the Gary Kubiak offense is where it originated from. And just, rely on a QB's athleticism and strong arm and decision making. I really like what I've seen out of Trey Lance. Now, I don't know if that means that Trey Lance is going to start right away, because they do have Jimmy G, and they're paying Jimmy G significant money, I believe, $20-some million a year, maybe more, maybe around the 30s. But I think you probably will see Jimmy start, because people can argue all they want that Jimmy isn't good. Jimmy doesn't have an arm. All this stuff. I can't even think of things. But look at their record. Look at the 49ers since they traded for him. Look at their record with him and look at their record without him. Whether he's good or not, when Jimmy G is there, they win games. They don't win games because of Kyle Shanahan and his play calling. They don't win games because of George Kittle. They don't win games because of their defense. They win games because of Jimmy G. And I don't understand how, because there's nothing spectacular about him. Nothing stands out like, hey, this guy is really good at this one thing. He's a top 5 quarterback at this one thing. It doesn't happen. I don't know if it's because he sat under Tom Brady, so he knows how to inspire people. But whenever Jimmy G is playing for the 49ers, they win more games than they lose. And it doesn't make sense, but it's the world we live in. So you probably will see Jimmy G start the season. You might see him start the entire season and let Trey Lance sit and really learn, become adept in the offense, get used to the NFL, and then maybe this offseason they ship Jimmy G off depending on how they do this year. If Jimmy G wins a Super Bowl, they might keep him for another year. But I think you are going to see Jimmy G win that QB battle. So I've done the Niners. I'll delete that. I've done the Saints. Sorry, I'm just going through my Google Doc and deleting everything. I've done the Jags. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Bears. And the Bears is interesting because Matt Nagy has said, hey, Andy Dalton is our starter. He said, it's Andy Dalton time in Chicago. Justin Fields is just going to have to enjoy his preseason hype. But he may have won the starting job, but this is going to sound weird. He has not won the QB battle. Justin Fields has just played better than Andy Dalton. I think Justin Fields is the second best quarterback of the draft class. I don't give a crap about Zach Wilson and what he did 2 years ago. And sure, he's looked fine in the preseason, but I think Justin Fields, with his athleticism, the only knock against Justin Fields is sometimes he holds onto the ball just a little bit too long. But I would rather have him do that than him throw the ball into tight windows and get picked off a bunch. I do think you'll see Justin Fields play well. He has good receivers around him, Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson. I do believe they shipped away Anthony Miller, but they have Cole Kmet. I think they have Jimmy Graham still. I think they have Jimmy Graham still. They have an okay offensive line, good running backs. I like Justin Fields' potential, but you probably will see Andy Dalton start. They went out, they signed him in the offseason because they didn't know if they were going to get their guy in Justin Fields, or maybe their guy was Trey Lance, but he was taking number 3. And so they had to switch up to go Justin Fields. That's entirely possible. But they have their veteran. And someone who's not talked about, Nick Foles. He's QB3. They have a pretty deep quarterback room. You're probably going to see Nick Foles get dealt maybe before the trade deadline to a team that just needs a quarterback. Maybe if Zach Wilson's not playing too well, he goes to the Jets. I don't know. Maybe if Jalen Hurts isn't doing too well, he goes back to the Eagles. I don't know. But you are going to see Andy Dalton win that starting job in week 1. And Andy Dalton will be the starter. And I hope and I pray that Andy Dalton will be the starter week 2 when they play the Browns. I would rather play Andy Dalton than Justin Fields. That's just personal preference. But I do think you'll see Andy Dalton start. You should see Justin Fields start, but Matt Nagy won't do it. Andy Dalton's going to be their guy. The next quarterback battle is probably my favorite, the Bills. The reigning MVP, Mitchell Trubisky, has just played phenomenally. Went back to Chicago and was just spanking the competition. He said, remember when you guys didn't pick up my option? Touchdown. Remember you didn't sign me? Touchdown. Have fun losing 41-15. I'm just joking. Everyone knows Josh Allen's going to start. They paid him like $200 million this offseason. That's another thing I have to talk about, the Josh Allen extension. But anyways, my last team with a QB battle. A team that is very close to my heart because it's a family team. It's a team that goes all the way back. Well, never mind. It's the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater they traded for in the offseason. Drew Lock they drafted 2 years ago. Right? 1 year ago. 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. Math is hard. I mean, I don't even know. I can't even tell you who's up in this battle because they've both played really well in the preseason. They both have had ups and downs in training camp. So I can't tell you. If I had to pick one, I would probably say they're going to have Teddy Bridgewater win the battle just because he brings a veteran experience and the team is definitely in kind of a more win-now mode. You got to figure Noah Fant is entering year 3, I believe. Cortland Sutton's probably going to be looking for a contract extension this coming up off season. You have Von Miller, who's going to be needing an extension. Bradley Chubb is towards the end of his deal. He's going into year 4. You have Kareem Jackson in the secondary. Justin Simmons just got paid. Kyle Fuller's on a 1-year deal. You have, I believe they brought in Ronald Darby. They drafted Patrick Surtain with the 9th overall pick. They have a good team, but they definitely are in more of a win-now mode. I don't know how well this team is built towards the future. Jerry Jeudy's a player I didn't mention. KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick. I think Drew Lock has a higher ceiling than Teddy Bridgewater does. I don't know how much there is up for debate there. But what I do know for a fact is that Teddy Bridgewater is a more proven NFL quarterback. Drew Lock had his good 5 games in 2019, and then he was bad in most games in 2020. I think that is in part due to coaching and in part due to injuries. Don't get it twisted. Drew Lock did not have a good situation right there. Vic Fangio is not a good head coach. I don't know if I really like their offensive coordinator. I don't know if they have the same guy from last year, but if they do, I'm worried. Excuse me. Cortland Sutton's coming back from injury. Hopefully Jerry Jeudy doesn't get the dropsies again. But I think they will pick Teddy Bridgewater to start, and depending on how he does, they'll play it from here there. I just think Teddy Bridgewater right now is a better quarterback. His floor is lower, or his floor is higher than Drew Lock's, but Drew Lock's ceiling is infinitely higher. I still think Drew Lock can develop into a very good, maybe not a top 5, maybe not a top 10, maybe a fringe top 15 guy, but you don't need the best quarterback in the league to be competitive. I think that Drew Lock can definitely work his way after this season, or maybe even halfway through the season, into the starting job once again. But anyways, that's it for the QB battles. Again, 49ers, you have Trey Lance and Jimmy G. The Jags, you have Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence. The Bears, you have Justin Fields and Andy Dalton. The Patriots, you have Cam Newton and Mac Jones. The Bills, you have MVP, Mitch Trubisky, and then Josh Allen. The Broncos with Teddy B and Justin Fields. And what's the other team I said? I don't remember. You're going to have to go back and watch the video again to find out. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll be back on Wednesday. Maybe I'll do football philosophy. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow talking about Josh Allen or Jamal Adams' contract. But anyways, make sure you're subscribed, like the video, boop the notification bell, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.